with UMBC Recreation. If this is your first time taking this class, but you're familiar with yoga, it's a loosely vinyasa-based class, so you'll notice that there's a flow-like movement to our poses oftentimes, and then most of the times we're also tying in the movement with our breath as well. If you are new to this class and you're also new to yoga, that is also okay. I won't just call out the names of poses and expect you to know where we're headed. I will talk about alignment and get you into a pose, especially our first time, couple times through the pose. And so there's no worries there. I do always like to bring attention to the fact that at the end of this practice, we finish on our back in a final rest period with our eyes closed. We try to remain still for about 2 to 3 minutes. And the point of that practice is to let our bodies absorb all the benefits of the class, but it's also a time of reflection. So we're trying to get inside and focus less on our physical body. Yoga is not just about what we do in our physical bodies, it's also about what's going on the inside as well. So I do encourage you to stick with that if it's your first time taking a yoga class. With that being said, I want to remind everyone to always listen to your body throughout the practice and always check with the doctor before you start a new exercise plan. If you are feeling tired during the class, it's meant to be challenging, you can take breaks, jump back in when you're ready. If something doesn't feel right in your body, I encourage you to skip the pose. Nobody knows your body better than you. With all of that out of the way, we're going to get started laying down flat on our backs today. So flat on your back with your knees bent and feet planted on the floor. Feet are facing towards the front of the mat. You can place your hands on the back of your thighs. Roll down until you're flat on your back, or however you get there is fine with me. Separate your feet until they are mat width distance apart and let the knees fall in towards one another. Place your arms wide out at your sides in T shape to help open the front of the chest. Gently tuck your chin in towards your chest to lengthen the neck. Take a deep breath in through the nose, and when you exhale out through the mouth, let the body hang heavy onto the mat. We'll start here with just a few breaths, bringing attention and focus to our bodies. Deepening the breath just a little bit. If you'd like to open the chest a little bit more, try bringing the arms overhead, maybe grabbing opposite elbows or elbows loosely bent. Take another few deep rounds of breath here. Place your arms along the sides of your body, palms face down to the floor. Separate the knees so they're stacked over the ankles. Ankles are about in line with the hips. Draw the right knee in towards your chest. Take your peace fingers, pointer and middle finger wrapped around the big toe, and extend right leg up towards the ceiling into a reclined leg stretch. We're pressing actively out through the heel. If the back of the leg feels really tight, the knee can stay bent. There's no need to extend the leg fully straight unless you have the flexibility. And take a few breaths wherever you're at. Imagining that the breath is allowing you to find ease in the muscles that feel tight. Then bending the knee into a one-leg happy baby. Knee bends in towards the outside of the armpit. Ankle stays in line with the knees, foot is flexed. Opening up the hip here. We'll extend the leg back towards the ceiling and then return the foot to the floor, placing our hand back at our sides. Left knee draws into the chest, peace fingers wrap around big toe. As you exhale, extend the leg up towards the ceiling, pressing out through the heel, following the pattern of your breath. Bending the knee into our happy baby variation. Ankle in line with knees. Knees working towards the floor. We'll extend the leg back to the ceiling and return foot to mat, arms down at our sides. Draw both knees in towards the chest, feet side by side, interlacing the fingers, holding below the knee, drawing thighs close to body. Releasing the low back here. Take some breaths into the side of the body, into the front of the chest. If you like to find a little bit of movement, maybe rock gently side to side. Return your arms along the sides of the body, palms face down. Line the knees up over the hips. Line the ankles up with the knees. On a count of 3, we're going to lower our right foot or toe down to the mat, keeping low back pressed to the mat, starting to warm up our core. So our right foot starts to lower for 1, 2, and 3. Toe touches floor. And then we lift the foot for 3, 2, 1, and we're back and start. Nice, slow, and controlled. So we're engaging the core. Left foot touches down, 1, 2, 3. Left foot lifts, 3, 2, and 1. Repeat with the right, 1, 2, and 3. Press low back into the mat. Lift for 3, 2, 1. Belly presses to mat. Left foot touches down, 2, 3, and lift, 3, 2, 1. One more time, right foot, 2, and 3, lift. Left foot touches down. Left foot lifts. Draw knees back in towards the chest, drawing thighs close to body. Then let the knees fall to the right into reclined spinal twist. Arms are out at a T shape along the floor, palms face up to ceiling, and head turns to the left. Taking a breath or two here. Had the window open, but the cicadas are quite loud. Draw the knees back in towards the center of the chest. Let the knees fall over to the left. Head turns to the right. Getting a nice stretch for our core here, but also massaging our internal organs, bringing some fresh blood to the area. Knees draw back to the center of the chest. Place your hands on the back side of your thighs. Start to rock forwards and backwards, gaining enough momentum to rock yourself up to seated, facing the front of your mat. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Reach through the tips of the fingers. Create length on the sides of the body. And then add a side bend over to the left. Being careful not to crunch into the left side of your body. Try to keep length on both sides of the body. Chin lifts from the chest. Belly is pressing towards the spine. Take a few deep breaths into the chest. Still reaching actively out through the fingertips. On your next exhale, fingers return to the floor. Inhale, bringing left arm up, reaching. Exhale into side bend and holding here, not holding the breath. Find length on both sides of the body and engage your core. On your next exhale, hands return to the mat. Rock yourself forward into tabletop on your hands and your knees. Wrists stacked under shoulders, knees stacked under the hips. Spread those fingers nice and wide. And we're going to start to circle, making circles around the wrist with our body. Loosening up the wrists a little bit here. We do a lot of planks in this class to engage our core. And reverse direction. And then finish up the circle that you're on. Slow down and find some stillness in your tabletop position. With the right hand, flip the palm so the top of the hand is to the mat, and then we'll flip it back a few times just like that. Still working with the wrist here. And then maybe bringing the hand out. Same thing with the left hand, top of the hand to the mat, palm to mat, back and forth. And then bring the hand out. Round the spine into cat pose, drawing belly into chest, tucking chin to chest, rounding spine. Return to a tabletop position nice and slowly. Then begin to lift and arch the spine into cow, tilting head up towards the ceiling. Again, let the tailbone lead the movement as you round the spine into cat pose. Draw the belly in, tuck your chin to chest. Return to tabletop before lifting and arching into cow. Tailbone leads the way, chin lifts last. One more time, rounding spine, cat pose. Lifting and arching to cow, and returning to tabletop. Lift up to the tips of your fingers. Extend your right leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Heel in line with hip, and draw the belly in towards the spine. Give me a tabletop crunch, drawing right knee in towards the chest, rounding the spine, drawing your belly in, lifting everything away from the mat, lifting knee away from the mat, then stepping or placing your foot into lunge. Ankle is right below the knee, foot in between the hands. Left toes tucked onto the mat if they're not already. Lift the left knee off the mat, lifting up to pointer and middle finger, sending chest forward, gaze is forward. Lowering the knee down to the mat, uncurling the left foot, top of foot to mat. Draw the breath in through the nose, lifting both arms overhead. Exhale, fingertips return to the mat. It requires a little balance. Allow the thighs to energetically draw towards one another. Next, inhale, lifts the right arm up to the ceiling, opening the chest, engaging the core. Exhale, fingertips come down to the mat. Inhale, both arms lift back overhead. Nice slow movement, and we'll pause here. Don't hold the breath. Press actively down to left knee. Find length through sides of the body, out through crown of head. Square shoulders away from ears. Take a few breaths. And fingertips return to the mat. Extend your right leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Keep the leg active, then return to tabletop, hands in the knees. Stay up on the tips of the fingers and extend your left leg behind you, heel in line with hip. Draw the belly in. Give me a tabletop crunch, knee to chest, around the spine. Lift everything away from the floor, draw belly in, step or place the foot into lunge, ankle below the knee. Draw the breath in through your nose, slowly lifting both arms overhead. Core is engaged. Exhale out through the mouth, fingertips return to floor. Next breath in, left arm lifts up to the ceiling, gaze up, engage your core into the twist. Exhaling, fingertips return to mat. Inhale through the nose, lifting both arms overhead, and we'll pause here. Exhale, and take a few more breaths. Find the length. Square shoulders away from ears. Breathe into chest. Return your fingertips to the floor. Extend your left leg behind you, pointing through the toes, and return to tabletop. Settle into child's pose, hips coming all the way down to heels, forehead rests on the mat, arms extended down the length of the mat. Separate the knees a bit to make some space for your belly. Keep toes touching. And we'll finish our warm-up here with a bit of stillness and some focus on your breath. If you're feeling any discomfort in your knees or your hips, Rise up onto your knees, keeping elbows to mat, head hangs heavy into puppy pose variation. You are more than welcome to take whichever variation feels most comfortable for you. Whichever position you're in, bring the attention to your breath and take note of how you feel in your body. There are no right or wrong answers. It's just about being present in the moment and listening to your body. Nice and slowly meet me back in a tabletop position. Lift up to the tips of your fingers and extend your right leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Tabletop crunch, knee to chest. Draw the belly in like you were punched in the gut. Lift that knee nice and high. Step or place the foot into lunge. Left toes tuck onto the mat. Lift that knee into the air, lifting up to pointer and middle finger. Send chest forward, draw belly in. Look forward. Step up to half lift. Left foot steps up to the top of the mat. Hands to shins. Back is flat, parallel to floor. Gaze is to the floor. Hold here. Draw shoulders away from the ears. Extend the spine long from the tailbone all the way out through the crown of the head. Gaze is to the floor. Lower to forward folds, bending the knees, dropping belly down to thighs. Crown of head reaches towards the floor, arms hang heavy. Hold for a breath or two here. Most of the weight is in the balls of the feet. Hips stay reaching high towards the ceiling. If the belly is very far from the thighs, bend those knees enough until belly can make contact. Protect the low back. It forces you to draw the low belly in and give some protection for the spine. Tuck your chin in towards your chest and one vertebrae at a time. Slowly start to round the spine up to a standing position. Take your time here. Feel the muscles that are required to get you up to standing. Chin comes up from the chest last. Once you're all the way up, give me a deep breath in through the nose, lifting arms out at your sides, up overhead. And as you exhale out through the mouth, lowering arms back down by your sides. Before we jump into the bulk of our practice, I'm going to demo our playing sequence. Every week we have a new playing sequence. I demo the first time through and then we'll tie it into the practice together. So just watch me this first time through. As promised, we'll start in a plank position. Fingers spread nice and wide, wrists stacked under the shoulders. You step both feet back, heels in line with hips in line with shoulders. Total body is engaged, arms, shoulders, core, glutes, thighs, everything's turned on. I always give us a countdown, something along the lines of we'll start our sequence in 3, 2, 1. Today we're going to take shoulder taps. So one hand's going to cross over to opposite shoulder. Shoulder, 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 shoulder. And then we'll do some leg lifts. So 1 foot at a time, just a few inches off the floor, nice and controlled. We'll lift, 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 and lift. So 4 for each. After that, we'll lower to a forearm plank. Same thing with alignment here. We'll hold for 5 seconds, and then we'll lower down to our belly and carry on the sequence from there. Let's all start together, standing at the top of the mat, feet hips width distance apart. Root down through your feet, stand nice and tall with purpose. Relax your shoulders down your back, turn your palms forward. Slowly lift both arms overhead, gaze up to the ceiling. Lower to forward fold by bringing the hands together, lowering them down through heart center, hinging forward from the hips, gently bending the knees so belly can touch the thighs. Let arms and head hang to floor. Rise half lift, flattening your back, hands to shins. Step back into a plank position, and we'll start our first sequence in 3, 2, 1. Shoulder, 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 shoulder. Lift, 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 and lift. Forearm plank. We'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll lower down to our bellies, tops of feet to mat. Hands under shoulders, elbows up towards the ceiling. Press your hip points into the mat, draw belly into spine, lift chest to baby cobra, shoulders wrap behind the heart. Then press to child's pose, hips to heels. Or if you prefer, puppy pose variation on the knees and the elbows. Deepen the breath for a moment here. And meet me back in tabletop, lifting up to the tips of the fingers. Extend left leg behind you, point through the toes, engage your core. Tabletop crunch, knee to chest, lift away from the mat and step or place your foot into lunge. Right toes tuck onto the mat, lift that knee into the air, lifting up to pointer and middle finger, look forward. Step up to half lift, right foot steps up to top of mat. Hands to shins, back is flat. Lower forward fold, gently bend the knees, drop belly to thighs, arms and head hang. Tuck chin into chest and round your spine, nice and slowly, all the way up to our standing position. Let your chin come up last. Again, slowly lifting arms overhead, gaze up. Lower to forward fold, belly meets the thighs. Rise half lift, flatten your back, hands to shins. Step back into a plank position, and we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Shoulder, 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 shoulder. Lift, 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 and lift. Take a forearm plank and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All the way down to mat, hands under shoulders. Lift the chest, baby cobra. Use the strength of your core, shoulders wrap behind the heart. And press to your rest position, whether that's puppy pose or child's. Deep breath or 2 here. Rise back to tabletop and lift up to the tips of your fingers. If you'd like to make your tabletop crunches a little more difficult, try it with hands flat to the mat instead. I'm always going to say lift up to the tips of your fingers, just for the sake of everyone, but you're welcome to try hands flat. You're going to have to round a little bit more, draw more away from the mat. See if it's a challenge. So we'll lift up to the tips of our fingers and extend our right leg behind us, pointing through our toes. Tabletop crunch, knee to chest, round the spine, lift that knee high and step or place the foot into lunge. Step up to half lift, hands to shins. Lower to forward fold, belly to thighs. And slowly rise up to standing, 1 vertebrae at a time. Lift your arms up overhead. Then lower the arms in front of you until your tips of your thumbs are about in line with your eyes. Or your eyebrows, I should say. Begin to settle into chair pose, bending at the knees, as if you're taking a seat in an imaginary chair, tailbone rounds under. Maybe arms lift a little bit higher. Maybe you sit a little deeper. You're not holding your breath, but we're engaging our core. We're strengthening our core, strengthening our legs. Then lower to forward fold. Belly meets the thighs. Let arms and head hang. Take a breath or 2 here. Maybe shift a little side to side. Then rise to half lift. Step back into a plank position and lower the knees to tabletop. Lift up to the tips of your fingers. Extend your left leg behind you, pointing through the toes. Draw knee into chest for tabletop crunch. Inhale to extend the leg behind you once again. Let's go for 3. Exhale to crunch. Inhale. Exhale. And step into lunge. Lift the right knee off the mat, lift up to tips of fingers. Bring your hands to your forward thigh and extend the arms overhead into high lunge. Hips stay square to the front of the mat. Take a few breaths here. Open into warrior 2, turning to face the right side of the mat. Right heel rotates down and makes contact with the floor, arms lower to shoulder height. Hips and shoulders are facing the long edge of the mat. Your right foot is facing, the toes are facing the long edge of the mat. Gaze is looking out over left hand. Lower to side angle by bringing the left elbow down to the thigh and extending your free arm up overhead. Twisting and lifting the chest up towards the ceiling. Core is engaged. We'll rise back to warrior 2 and straighten the leg. Turn the left toes so they also face the long edge of the mat. Give me a side bend over to the left. Engage your core, reach up through the right fingertips. Hold here. Return arms to shoulder height. Side bend, opposite side, engage the core, gazes up to the ceiling, hold here. Arms back to shoulder height and hands to hips. Hinge forward from the hips, bringing fingertips down to the floor. You can bend the knees if you need to. Left foot turns forward. We'll walk our hands back into lunge. Right heel lifts off the mat. Step back into a plank position, and we'll start our sequence in 3, 2, 1. Shoulder, 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 shoulder. Lift, 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 and lift. Find your forearm plank and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All the way down to the mat, hands under shoulders. Deep breath into baby cobra, chest lifts. Exhale to child's pose or puppy pose, and take a breath or two here. On your next inhale, slowly rise back to tabletop. Lift up to the tips of your fingers. Extend your right leg behind you. Give me 1 tabletop crunch into a lunge position. Inhale as you step up to half lift, hands to the shins. Exhale as you lower to forward fold. Belly to thighs. See if you can draw your inhale out as you slowly rise to standing, and exhale at the top. No pressure. If you can't draw the breath out, don't hold it, just breathe normally. We'll lift both arms back up overhead and lower the thumbs until they're about in line with the eyebrows. Let's settle into chair pose, bending the knees, taking a seat in an imaginary chair, keeping chest lifted, keeping core engaged. We're holding here, not holding the breath. And lowering to forward fold, belly meets the thighs. Shake the head yes and no a few times. Help the neck relax. Rise to half lift. And step your left foot back into a lunge position. Step back into plank and drop the knees to tabletop. Lift up to the tips of your fingers. Extend your right leg behind you, point through the toes. Exhale, tabletop crunch for 1. Inhale to extend. Exhale for 2. Draw the belly in, lift that knee high. Inhale. Exhale for 3, knee to chest and step the foot into lunge. Lift the left knee off the mat, lift up to point our middle finger. Bring your hands to your thigh and extend arms overhead, high lunge. Right knee stacked right over the ankle. Open to warrior 2, facing the left side of the mat, left heel down, arms at shoulder height, gazing out over the right hand. Pressing firmly into the pinky edge of your left foot. Right knee is tracking towards pinky toe. Lower to side angle, right elbow comes down, free arm frames the ear, lifting and twisting chest up to ceiling, stretching actively out through left fingertips. Slowly rise back to warrior 2, arms at shoulder height, straighten the forward leg, and turn the right toes so they face the long edge of the mat. Bring both arms overhead, and we'll side bend over to the left, drop that over to the right, drop the arm down. Lift arms to shoulder height, side bend, opposite side, hold it here. Core is engaged. Lift arms back to shoulder height, hands to hips, hinge forward from the hips, fingertips to floor. Right foot turns forward, walking our hands back into lunge. Left heel lifts off the mat. Step back into your plank position, and we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Shoulder, 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 and shoulder. lift, 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 and lift. Forearm plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All the way down, hands under shoulders, deep breath in through the nose, lift chest, baby cobra. Exhale into your chosen rest position. A round or 2, or maybe 3 of breath here. Nice deep breaths. On your next inhale, meet me back in a tabletop position, nice and slow. Lift up to the tips of your fingers. Extend your left leg behind you, giving me a tabletop crunch right into lunge, foot in between the hands. Inhale as you step up to half lift. Exhale as you lower forward fold. See if you can draw the inhale out as you slowly rise to standing. And exhale at the top. Right arm up to ceiling, reach to the tips of the fingers. Give me a side bend. Roll down to forward fold, belly comes to thighs. Hold here. Maybe try taking a variation of forward fold, ragdoll, grabbing opposite elbows. If you're in a variation, release your hold and slowly round the spine up to standing. Try the next side with your eyes closed. Left arm extends up towards the ceiling. Add a side bend. Roll down to forward folds, belly to thighs. Taking any variation you're familiar with. You could take ragdoll again. You can leave the arms hanging, yogi's choice. Keep the eyes closed as you rise to half lift. Flatten your back, you know these poses. Step back into a plank position with the eyes closed. Once you're in plank, open the eyes and we'll start our last sequence in 3, 2, 1. Shoulder, 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 and shoulder. Lift, 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 and lift. Forearm plank, we hold the last one for 15 seconds, but you're welcome to lower down at any time. I've already started counting. We're holding nice strong bodies, but not holding our breath. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and release all the way down to the mat. Arms come down the sides of the body, palms face up towards the ceiling. Turn your head to one side so you can rest on your cheek. Wiggle shoulders away from ears. Let the big toes touch, heels fall away from one another. Deep breath in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth, and hang heavy onto the mat, onto the floor. Short intermission here. Gently turning your head to the opposite side. If you like to add a little bit of movement to your poses, try wiggling your hips side to side, helping release the low back. Bring your chin to the mat, place your hands underneath your shoulders, and press yourself into your chosen rest position one final time. Slowly rise up to tabletop. across the ankles, send the hips back towards the heel, right into a seated position while the legs come forward. If that wasn't comfortable, however you can make it in a seated position with your legs extended towards the front of your mat is okay with me. Once you're in your seated position, ground your sits bones to the floor, find length through the spine, lift both arms overhead. Drop chin to chest and round the spine into rounded back stretch, lowering hands to knees, elbows out to either side of the mat, shoulders relaxed, away from the ears. Take some nice deep breaths here. And try to draw your breath to the space you feel the most sensation. Use your breath to help find release in the tension of your muscles. Another few breaths here. Slowly start to straighten the spine right into staff pose, planting hands on either sides of your hips, finding length out through the crown of your head before relaxing to a neutral position. Make sure you're sitting in the center of your mat and bend both knees, planting your feet on the floor. Place your hands on the back side of your thighs. As if you were punched in the gut, round the spine, draw the belly in, and using control, nice and slow, we're gonna lower ourselves down to the mat. The slower you go, the more you're asking the core to work. Once you're down, lay flat, stretch your legs straight, plop your arms down. Just take a breath on your back here. Put in a lot of work and we're just slowing down our movements. Draw both knees into the chest, feet side by side, interlacing the fingers below the knees, drawing thighs close to body. Keeping low back pressed to the floor, gently tucking your chin in towards your chest. If you're looking for a little more compression, try grabbing onto opposite elbows, drawing thighs close to body, as long as the low back stays pressed to the mat. Breathe into the sides of the body. Release your arms down to the floor at shoulder height, palms face up. Let the knees fall to the right into reclined spinal twist, and head gently turns to the left. This is our last pose before our final resting pose. It's a great time to close the eyes, start to turn the focus inward, and start to relax the muscles in the face. Separate the upper and lower jaw, relax the muscles in your brow and around your eyes. Slowly draw your knees to the center of your chest, let them fall over to the left, and head turns to the right. Draw the knees back to the center of your chest. Hold on to the legs, drawing the thighs close to the body. Slowly lift your head to meet your knees. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold the breath at the top. Squeeze your body nice and tight into a tiny little ball. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And as you exhale out through your mouth, let the body go so you can lay flat on your mat into final rest period. Separate your legs and arms nice and wide. Take up as much space as you can. Toes fall away from one another, palms are face up and eyes are closed. Deep breath in through nose. On the exhale, melt your body onto the floor. And bring your attention to your breath. Don't change the natural pattern of your breath. Just follow its rhythmic repetitiveness. Recognize that every inhale draws an energy into your body, and every exhale releases energy you no longer need. If your focus has wandered, bring your attention back to your breath. Slowly start to deepen your breath. And then start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Welcome movement back to your body. And gently roll over to the right side of your body, taking a moment of stillness on your side. Maybe using your arm to support your head like a pillow. And whenever you're ready, keeping your eyes closed or your gaze lower to the floor, slowly press yourself up into any comfortable seated position. If you aren't yet making your way to seated, that's a-okay. Just keep an ear open so you know where we're headed. As always, to finish class, we take 3 cleansing breaths together as one. That's breathing in through the nose, exhaling out the mouth. Today we're going to take a 3-part breath, breaking the inhale into 3 parts, filling belly, ribs, and chest. Breaking the exhale into 3 parts, exhaling from chest, ribs, and then belly. Let's all start on an exhale so we are together, releasing all the breath you have out of your body. Breathing in through your nose, filling your belly first, filling your ribs, filling your chest, exhaling chest, ribs, and belly. Breath into belly, ribs, and chest. Exhale chest, ribs, and belly. Last time, making this your deepest breath yet, filling up the ribs, filling the chest, exhaling chest, exhaling ribs, exhaling belly. Take a second to thank yourself for taking time out of your day for this practice. Thank your body for getting you through this practice. I thank you for letting me lead you on this practice today. There is a light that exists within me that honors and respects the light that exists within every single one of you. Thanks so much. Thanks for practicing with me, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the class. I hope you found it a little challenging. If you did or you didn't, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this class, a new version of this class is aired every week. If you like my style of teaching, but you would like something a little easier on the body, I also teach a Vinyasa yoga class, and that is aired every week as well. But follow us on Instagram, on YouTube. We have lots of classes, not just yoga. Check them out. Let us know what you think. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks again.